Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I want to talk about a character that I created a little bit over a year ago, about a year and a half ago, roughly. And that character is Lytynwyx Lytychyn. And of course, it's from this character that I pulled the username Lytynwyx that I tie into my name on the internet in order to give myself some uniqueness and kind of it's like a signature. It sets me apart from the multitudes of other Justins and Justin Woods that are on the internet, so that I'm not just another Justin Wood, but Lytynwyx, which is a unique name that I created, and there are no other Lytynwyxes out there. That is just me. And Lytynwyx Lytychyn started. The name comes from a character that I created, and that's where the name came from. So, Lytynwyx is a very interesting character, and there's a lot to be said about Lytynwyx Lytychyn. So I'm pretty excited to make this video. Pretty excited to share this character with the world. I've not really shared him with anyone as far as talked about him or really even shared the origins of the name Lytynwyx. But now you know, the name Lytynwyx originated as the name as a character that I created named Lytynwyx Lytychyn. So when I was creating Lytynwyx, I based him off of two other characters. One character from Norse mythology that many of you know would be Loki. That is why Lytynwyx starts with an L, because one of his main inspirational sources was Loki. And this is because when I was in mythology, and we were learning a mythology class in high school, and we were learning about different mythologies, and we went over Loki. I felt like I related to Loki in the way that in my early childhood I was very misunderstood, and typically I would prank people, I would pull tricks, I would do things to cause problems, and oftentimes I was really clever in how I would go about that. So while we were studying Norse mythology, I was indeed pulled in by the character of Loki. I was really interested in him. So of course, when I was creating Lytynwyx, as Lytynwyx is a villain, I pulled from that source, and then he's also mixed with, and this might sound a little bit strange, but let me explain. He is also mixed with the Toy Taker from Island of the Misfit Toys. And the reason is because the Toy Taker is a misunderstood villain who kidnaps toys because he believes he's doing the right thing. He's keeping them from forming a bond with the kids, and then the kids, of course, will end up neglecting the toys, throwing them out. And so when the toy taker takes toys, he is trying to help them, but of course in doing that he is doing wrong. And so he's a very intelligent, misunderstood villain. And those two sources I pulled from to create Lytynwyx. In fact, if you look at the color scheme of Lytynwyx, you can see this character is very inspired by the Toy Taker. So these two highly intelligent, mischievous characters I emerged to create Lytynwyx. Lytynwyx has a last name which is Lytychyn, and Lytychyn relates to his bloodline. So basically, to be a Lytychyn is to be a practitioner of dark arts in specific temples that a mage, that these certain dark mages would go to. And that's what Lytynwyx is a mage. Highly intelligent mage, a misunderstood villain, and he goes to these temples, which I've drawn what these temples basically would look like, how I kind of envisioned it in my head. He among other mages would go to these temples to study the dark arts, the forbidden knowledge, what is hidden from man intentionally, these darker arts of obtaining otherwise unobtainable power. And that's what Lytynwyx is he is a mage, a practitioner of the dark arts, and he is in that he is a Lytychyn. The Lytychins are a family line of mages who practice the dark arts. So Lytynwyx has Lytychyn blood running through him. He is a Lytychyn, and of course, being a Lytychyn means he was indoctrinated into that way of life. Now, of course, if you were to go inside one of these temples to learn the forbidden knowledge, the dark power, you would encounter one of these, which I've drawn right here, one of the high priests, one of these high mages. As you can see, he has this different looking kind of headdress on, so that right there tells you. He also is wearing this gold chain. You can not really see it too well in that picture, but you can kind of see it if you look close. I do have a brighter version too, where you can see it a bit easier. But they would teach characters like, for instance, Lytynwyx, the dark arts. They would be who teaches Lytynwyx the ways of the dark side, if you will. And so Lytynwyx is powerful. He's not all powerful. He is someone that could be defeated and beaten. Oftentimes, he is so witty that it takes a lot to defeat him. He is a character that relies heavily on his high intelligence in order to get away with what he gets away with. Of course, if he's manipulating someone, or if he's just doing something mischievous in general, it would be his high intelligence that makes him hard to counter, hard to fight, hard to combat, because he's not necessarily that physically strong. Of course, you could overpower Lytynwyx probably in a fist fight. If you have a pretty decent muscular build, it shouldn't be too hard to overpower him that way. But in order to outsmart him, in order to catch on to his traps and tricks before it's too late, that's a whole different story. So yeah, this is Lytynwyx, this is the character, and I thought I'd share that to kind of give the history, briefly give the history of where the name came from. So I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.